Hey, everybody. Welcome to Two Moons and a Microphone. I'm Tanya. I love fantasy, but I keep it real. This is a SyFy Sistas Inc. production. And today I am so excited. I am welcoming Cara O'Neil, VP of Marketing from Dark Horse Comics, current
Hello, thank you
publisher.
so much.
Oh, thank you for coming. I'm so excited. Everybody is very excited. We are going to be talking about the upcoming full color, hardcover, original ElfQuest books coming out in 2025. Cara, welcome to Two Moons and a Microphone.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. We have been working with the Peonies very closely on bringing these into the world for some time now. So it's great to see it all start to come together and we can finally talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, when the announcement came out, I was like, this is huge because it has been over 20 years since we've had new color um, ElfQuest books. Dark Horse has been putting out these awesome complete ElfQuest volumes, and they have been so great in getting more people introduced to ElfQuest, or old fans like to get the new copies. I like to get every version, as you can see. Whenever somebody's putting out new ElfQuest books, I'm going to get them. So I'm super excited. So, but you're an ElfQuest fan as well.
Yes, yes. It's been a pleasure to get to actually work on, as I'm sure you can imagine, work on these projects and work with some of these people. Over these years, I started at Dark Horse when we were publishing the Final Quest issues. So I had been familiar with ElfQuest before that. I used to work in bookstores for a long time, and I became I started noticing I've always been a big fantasy fan and a fantasy reader. So it really stood out to me in all the great graphic novels that we were getting at Powell's Books. If anybody's familiar with that, this big independent bookstore in Portland, Oregon, and that's where I first came across ElfQuest. So to kind of be united with it at Dark Horse as the publisher when I started there some time ago, that was it's like coming full circle.
Yeah, and so exciting. So, do you have a favorite character?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I kind of yes. What I like about ElfQuest in part is that it's almost like which elf am I today?
Mm.
Who am I feeling today? But I also am I'm one of those people who gets really attached to the first characters that I read in a series usually. So for me, of course, Cutter. And but some days I'm more Skyways, and some days I might be feeling Strongbow. So, But yeah, the core originals are near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I love them. Do you have like a favorite storyline or all of them?
I think that's also a tough call. I'm also a history buff. And so when I'm reading fantasy, one of the things that I really love is when there is like a rich background and history in that world to discover. So I like the original quest. I like sort of pre-original quest materials when I can find them. And I also, though, because I started at Dark Horse when we were publishing Final Quest, I have a lot of love for that. I also can't recommend enough if anybody hasn't dived into it yet. Stargazer's Hunt, the most recent series that we did, that was I liked it even more than I expected because it was a really fun and interesting. It was a bit of a switch, we're following Skywise more in Jink, and I do really like Jink, so that's a lot of favorites, but, yeah, the original and the early history is what I return to the most, I think, so it's a very exciting project for me as well that we're publishing these new editions.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
a great way to reread them and get that in that just shiny new package. Because once you start rereading, then I end up rereading the whole thing again over and
Yeah.
over again. So let's talk about these new books. So what can people get excited about? What are the fans most? What could they most look forward to in these new books?
Well, as you may have already pointed out or discussed, we do have these in full color. So this features Wendy's coloring from the early 2000s, but she's gone over every single page and made some adjustments for these new editions. So I think that is something that I'm excited about. I hope fans are as well.
Super. And is there anything that Dark Horse is working on to try to attract new readers to ElfQuest with these books?
Yes, that is definitely a focus. It's something that Wendy and Richard would very much like to see as well. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things to try and help reach new readers as well as longtime fans. Um, there are going to be some differences from previous collected editions to these. So both, longtime fans again will have something new here, but hopefully we're also hooking newer readers. There's going to be a new intro, new afterwards in each book. um, there's also kind of a different layout than what people might be familiar with if they do have the older editions. We are going to be doing a lot of fun extra, engagement on social media. So you should definitely stay tuned to both the ElfQuest and Dark Horse channels. We're going to be offering some fun prizes and things from the
Ooh.
archives, but also kind of featuring some of the new materials and editions will be coming out with to help support these books. I do want to point out too that with all those, any promo items and things that we do, we're working really closely, as always, with retailers, not only comic shops, but also bookstores. Dark Horse is distributed by Penguin Random House. So we also have a good reach with schools and libraries and lots of educational institutions, museums. So we're going to be reaching out to them and hopefully getting some of them to carry in stock some promotional items and displays for their stores too. We just really want to make it as accessible as possible and have as wide a reach as possible, so that we are hitting new fans as well as longtime collectors who might want these new editions.
Oh, that's fantastic. I've heard a lot of fans mention that they found them in like libraries or from friends and things like that. So to have that reach with Penguin, you said, is I think
Mhm.
that's phenomenal to get schools. Although that's a little dicey these days. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
People are people are different right now. So, but I think it's a great book. I read it to my kids and, I got them indoctrinated very early, or at least my younger ones, because I thought I would wait with my older two till they were like tweeny age, and it was too late. Anything that I liked was not cool, so
Yeah.
they couldn't embrace it. So I got my younger ones in when they were younger, and they loved the stories and they loved it in color. So it was great to just like sit down and read it to them and explain things and talk about stuff. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
love it. Yeah,
I think,
super
you
cool.
know, that's a great example, and I'm living proof too that, anybody can discover ElfQuest anytime. And for me, like, yeah, if I had had somebody try to introduce me to it, well, a parent for sure. If I was a teenager, I probably would have reacted similarly. But because I found it myself, and even though I was probably in my 20s at about that time, it was like new and exciting for me then. So I hope more people discover it now wherever they find it. Again, we're just going to try to make it as accessible as possible and as widespread as possible. That being said, if you want to help us introduce it to more people, I do want to shout out that pre orders really, truly do help. It lets stores know that there are people out there who want this. It's a tough time out there right now, especially for comic shops, indie bookstores. Everybody all across the board, really, they're kind of running lean. And so if you want to make sure they get enough copies, not only for you but for you to give to your friends, please pre-order and let your stores know that lots of people want ElfQuest.
And you could pre-order them on darkhorse.com
You can,
or
yes,
call your local comic book store or bookstore.
absolutely. Comicshoplocator.com helps you find one near you. Bookshop.org helps you find indie bookstores, and of course we're in the major bookstore chains too. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I love that the most about this partnership that Warp has had with Dark Horse over these last years is the accessibility, because there was like a real lean time where, everybody was just scrounging on eBay or just walking from comic book store to comic book store. When I used to live in New York City, that's what I did. This was like very early internet times. And I just, had a list of books from like the back of one of the books. And I was just walking around like, do you have this book? Do you have this next one? Like, just trying to get it. So this has been so great whenever I try to, get other friends to read it, that, they could just pick up these big volumes and just dig in, which I just love that. So
Yeah.
it's been great, but
Yeah.
definitely pre-order. And I love my local shop. That's a shout out to Third Eye Comics in Annapolis. That's where I
Oh
go.
yeah.
And I love them. They're so fun. It's huge too, and they have like the most friendly staff. They're super helpful. So check out all of those resources for accessing these great new books. Um,
Yes, please do. I have not been to Third Eye in person. I hope to go someday, but I definitely know them from our work with comic shops. So, yeah. Here in Portland, we're kind of lucky, overly
mm,
blessed. We have many, many options. Things from Another World is another one that carries all Dark Horse comics and books. They have a good website too, tfaw.com. Yeah, shout out to the local and the indies, especially because we really appreciate that of all the comics, of all the books that are happening all the time, that they, choose to stock these. And again, if you let them know that there's interest, that will sink in, that will let them understand, that there's enough interest. Oh, maybe I should order up on these.
yes, I will be calling Third Eye tomorrow just to get it in there. So you've been working with Wendy and Richard Pini for a number of years. You started with Final Quest at Dark Horse. So what has it been like to work with them when you were a fan before you came to work with
It's
Dark Horse?
it really has been a pleasure. That is one of the things I enjoy most about my job is I do get to work with so many different creators and licensing partners. Many of whom and of which I have followed for a long time, and I've been a fan of, say, the video games or the previous creative work. And so in this case, I think one of my standout memories is New York Comic Con. It was probably like 2017 or 2018, and Wendy and Richard are always wonderful about doing signings when they're at a convention with us. We usually do two per show, whereas most creators, we everybody wants to do a signing. They're very popular. That's like the big draw to come to our booth exhibit. So the schedule gets tight, but we always make sure to have room to do two with the beanies because there's such a great fan base. And so not only do we have their signings, but then afterwards, usually there's press and they do interviews in our booth. And I got the chance to do an interview for Dark Horse with Wendy and Richard. And we were talking about what was then the upcoming series of Stargazer's Hunt. And so that was the first time, because it was so early in the process, that was the first time I'd really heard the story from Richard directly about like where Jink got her name and kind of how this story came about. So that was a pretty exciting, fun highlight. The interview was kind of rough because we're like using a tiny mic, in the middle of the New York Comic Con show floor, which is very loud. But
I've
it was
not
really
been,
fun.
but I've heard it's quite a show, and there's just a lot going on. I can only imagine. I mean, I used to
Yeah.
live in New York, but I wasn't like one of those crowd people in New York. I kind of knew how to dip and bob
Hmm.
and weave and get around all the craziness, but I can imagine that just being like so keyed up, especially coming at the end of Final Quest and everyone was reeling with that ending. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we always have some great cosplayers who come by, which we always really appreciate, and Wendy loves too, I think. So she had been posing for photos with quite a number of Litas. But that was a great show. It was a lot of fun. New York Comic Con is crowded. It's busy. That is very true. We're not exhibiting there this year, but I hope to return in upcoming future years.
yeah, I'm dying to check it out at least once. I know that the SyFy Sisters, I know Yvette goes and they check out all the Trekkie stuff and
Mhm.
they have a good time. So I think if I had like my crew with me, I would tough it out. I would swallow my anxiety and deal with it. It would be just
Yeah.
to do it once, just one of those bucket list things.
It can be intense, no doubt. And so cons are always fun. That's one time I get to see the Peonies in person, which is always fun. During the pandemic, I was mentioning earlier when we were chatting, we started doing a lot more live streaming from Dark Horse. So that was another really fun experience for me, was getting to work with the Peonies in that way and doing more interviews and getting to check in as things progressed and as we all we were staying home, working from home. We didn't get to go to cons anymore, so we tried to make it accessible for fans who are likewise staying home and do more panels and things online. So that was a lot of fun, as well as we continue to promote Stargazer's Hunt, especially this second collection.
Yeah, because the pandemic kind of slowed down the production of that comic, so
Yeah,
everybody was kind of at a cliffhanger waiting for the last 4 issues. And I remember we were just like, we would get updates and it would come out, it's coming then, no, and then it but I'm
the
so
comic
glad that they did
industry.
finish it.
Yeah, it was dicey for a while. Everybody was very uncertain. Diamond, the main comic distributor, had to shut down for a time, and printers were shutting down. And not only that period of actually literally shutting down and we had to put everything on pause, especially single issue comics, but there was the question of getting back into it. Okay, well, great, we're getting started, but that takes a long time and it's a long process. Everybody had gotten kind of backed up, and there was literally a paper shortage. And I don't know if people remember, there were like true supply chain issues with like ships backed up at the port. We're waiting on things to be
Indeed.
delivered. It was a time, but we persevered. And that's one of the things I've always really loved and admired actually about the Peonies, especially, is how like self-starter they are, and nothing really keeps them down for long. And I really like that kind of indie spirit, indie publishing attitude.
Yeah, I mean they are OGs for real. I mean, they started out just cranking it out on their own, and Richard's fighting with people to get drawings back. I mean, the stories never disappoint. I mean, there's just such a rich history with them in comics. It's just I just love listening to them talks, and I love reading Richard's forewords, and like his matters of opinion are just there's such great little nuggets in there. I think it's awesome. So, how are you feeling about like coming out of the pandemic and with all of these productions? Do you guys feel like you're like back in the game? Like I know it felt really dicey, and like are we going to be able to keep getting comics? And it seems like things are rebounding really nicely, but I'm just an observer. Do you
Yeah,
feel like that from the inside?
I do. Yeah, there it was kind of a touch and go for a time, but that didn't really last long. I feel 2020 was a bit rough. Speaking of conventions, we were gearing up. Usually, our first con of the year each year was Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, and that's just the earliest one in the calendar year that we used to do regularly. Happens in usually early March, and we had everything geared up and ready to go. Literally, our banners had been shipped out and all of that, but then we were one of the first exhibitors actually to cancel because of the early warning signs of the pandemic. And we got some flack for that at the time, but then sure enough, everybody else kind of pulled out, and then the show ended up getting canceled or postponed. So as I was saying, like it was an uncertain time for comics, especially for a time. But then we still had so many things in the works, and so many books did continue to come out that, as people might recall, maybe you were part of this, we're all in lockdown, and there was a surge in interest and shopping for things like books and comics and manga, especially. And
Mhm.
so we had just started doing some things like the very first manga deluxe editions, the big oversized hardcovers with Berserk. And people started covering those. Turns out that format people really, really like. And so that helped. We had a lot of success with books that continued to come out and that we were able to continue bringing out. And, big shout out and thank you to everybody who stuck with comics and books, even some of these series that did get kind of spread out and delayed. I know it was kind of a bummer for some things that we had a couple series, that were starting out in single issues, but because of that shutdown, single issues were not happening for a time, and the distributor again had shut down for a time. So some of those things had to be converted to just coming out as graphic novels. And so I'm just happy that we were still able to complete them and keep on with that publishing and get those stories out there and keep supporting the creators as well as the fans. So yeah, there was a nice big surge, and now things are kind of evening out again. But we were also caught back up on a lot of those supply chain issues that had plagued us for a while. So I think things are back on track and rolling pretty smoothly. And now it's almost like we're back to almost too much all the time. Trying to
That's a
make
good
sure that
place to
everything
be.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think things are rolling along pretty good. It's interesting, like post-pandemic times are
Super.
different, but here we are bringing out new editions of very beloved material, and really hoping to introduce new fans to it too and get a whole new generation on this.
Yeah, that is my hope. I mean, even I know that the animated series that's in development, I mean, if those two come out at the same time, I mean, that same year, it'll be amazing. But I think just having the books out again in a fresh format is gonna give a boost and get new fans and new readers interested all in, even if it's not on TV, because I never
Yeah.
needed it on TV anyway, but I'm super excited, and I know that Wendy and Richard have been working on getting this animated series since kind of
Yeah.
day one, since they first started putting it out. That's what
A
Wendy's
long time in
always
the
wanted,
works.
so I
Yeah.
want that for them so badly.
Yeah.
So
It does help. It seems to that sort of thing, any entertainment connection really does help catapult a graphic novel or a comic into the eyes and minds of far, far more people. So I do appreciate that kind of boost. But even without it, we're gonna be out there doing what we do, trying to reach as many new readers and long timers alike. So we did make a point. We wanted to let people know for sure right up front that this is going to continue. We're going to keep collecting the entire series in these new editions. So
oh
stay
wow, all the
tuned
way up to
for more specifics.
where? How far
Um,
are the plans to go?
I actually don't know if we've completed like a full long-term plan, but the goal is we're going to have books 3 and 4 also coming out in 2025. So we're working on more. I can't really say with any certainty right now. It's too early to give like a real schedule, but we are going to continue working on more in 2026 and beyond as well.
Oh wow, that is huge. I
Yeah.
There are people that have said on the ElfQuest Facebook group, oh my god, people were like, "Hey Wendy, don't you want to recolor every single thing?" Like, and she was like, "Absolutely not." But
Yeah.
there are enough other talented people involved that can help get them exactly the way they want them to be, and that is, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best. I mean, everybody loves these books when they're in color, and so many people have lost their collections over the years. People borrow them or they get damaged, and this is just like a great opportunity, like you said, for collectors and new readers to get on board. And I'm so happy that like this partnership has been so successful. It seems like they have really found a home at Dark Horse, and as a reader, I love like using it on like the digital. I like the hardcover books. I like the paperback books. I'm all in. So thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's a pleasure to be a part of working on these projects, and we really we hear you. We listen to the fans. I think it is a good fit. I think Dark Horse has kind of a similar the name Dark Horse. We're we have kind of a similar indie spirit and mentality, and though it hasn't always been the easiest path or the straightest path forward, we've all kept at this and kept trying to find ways to bring this material out, at the level of quality that we all want, and with what we all can put into it to give not just the fans, but the creators, the peonies, and all of us as well, kind of what we want to bring into the world. So I'm really looking forward to this. I wanted to make a point right away, like I said, that we were not just going to stop with one. With publishing, it's hard because we can't really say too early when something is going to come out. A lot of things could change if it is that early, and we want to be able to give fans like something that you can actually see or do so that you know it's real and it's true and it is coming. And so usually we have to wait until something is available for pre-order, which is kind of a set schedule in publishing. But we did want to make sure that we were letting folks know that yes, volume 1 and volume 2 are coming out in this succession and on this timeline. And I have gotten permission from myself and the rest of the team to let folks know that yes, we are planning to continue more in 2025. A couple more volumes to come, and then beyond that, like I said, I can't really say, I can't give away specifics just yet. We are still kind of working on things, but we are indeed working on more of a plan. So more to come, plenty in 2025 and into 2026.
Oh, that's amazing. Cara, thank you so much for coming on Two Moons and a Microphone and sharing all this great stuff about the new full color hardcover ElfQuest Original Quest editions. Pre-order now, everyone. It's been great. Thank you so much for your time and spending time with all of us and everyone. Where can people follow you or find out more about Dark Horse or the books?
Yeah, please do follow us on social media. It's pretty simple, at Dark Horse Comics on all the major platforms, Instagram, Facebook. We are still on Twitter X, but we're also on Blue Sky, which is where a lot of comics folks have gone to. It's similar in a lot of ways, but less less controversy perhaps. We still have supplemental channels. We're on YouTube. We are on Twitch. The Twitch has been on hiatus for a bit, but hopefully we'll be back before too long. And yeah, at Dark Horse Comics and at ElfQuest as well for all ElfQuest news, of course. They do have an email newsletter, which you can subscribe to get more news ongoing. And I have a work, well, Twitter and Blue Sky, I guess, now, because one is kind of becoming the other for a lot of comics folks, like I mentioned, but it's just my name at Cara O'Neil. But yeah, Dark Horse and ElfQuest are the primary ones.
Great. Thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you coming on.
And enjoy. And I look forward to everybody sharing pictures when you get your books.
Oh, you will. You can count on that. That's already happening. It's going to be great. So thanks so much, Cara. All right, folks. Thank you. Hey, at everybody in the chat. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe out there. Since we were talking about hardcover books, I thought I would quickly share some of the previous hardcover editions that I've been collecting over the many years. They're all a little bit different and they're special. And I just love them, but I'm super excited for these new books to come out. But when the first hardcovers came out, it was 1981. And these were hardcovers. Hold on. Hardcover slipcase editions from the Dawning Starblaze books. I didn't even know these existed until I joined the ElfQuest collectors group on Facebook. And I was just like, what are those? Oh my God. I mean, the Starblaze colored graphic novels were the introduction that I had to ElfQuest. They were paperback. And I fell in love with them immediately at my friend's house. But then I saw somebody post like their hardcovers and I was like, what? Are you serious? Like, how can that be? I mean, look how beautiful. So I had to find them. And then suddenly Richard used to keep a Wolf Rider shop on eBay, and he posted that he had found like a box of them in like a basement or something, and he put them on sale and I bought all four immediately. So this is book number 1. So it has the slipcase and then the matching hardcover book. And then there were numbered editions with a nameplate, and I got number 3. I was out of my mind when I saw that, like, number 3. You know, collectors know, like, the lower the number, the better it is. So number 3 out of 3,000, I almost fainted, and 3 is my favorite number. So I almost died. I thought it was just crazy. So they also came with a print each one of the 4 books, and I framed the prints and I hung them up in my twins' bedroom because they had the wall space and they needed a theme for their room. So they have all 4 of the prints hanging in their room. I'll post a picture on my 2 Moons and a Microphone Instagram if anyone's interested. But they're gorgeous. So this is book number 1 in red. And number 2 is green. And there's a lot of, like, very cool forever green. These ones that I got, this slipcover is a very little bit tight, but there's some that are not numbered. So my book number 1 is a numbered signed copy, but the rest were extras that were out of the original run of 3,000. So they're not numbered, but they are signed by Wendy and Richard. So very excited. And, you know, it's special. They're special to me. So I'm very excited. And you can see this is the coloring that was in the Starblaze editions. And this is the version that a lot of people have kind of burned into their memory. These are core memories for a lot of people, and they love them a lot. So these are a very big prize in my collection. So I was very super excited to get these. Okay. As I said, the slipcovers are very tight, and I don't really read these when I'm rereading ElfQuest. They don't really come out of these slipcovers that often, so that's why they're a little snug. But this is book 3, and 4 is in white with the gold. So super fancy, very luxe, very bougie like me. So how could I not have these? So then the next group of hardcovers, also, I didn't know these existed until I joined the collectors group. I thought it was kind of a fluke because I had lost my book number 8 and I bought another book 8 on eBay and it was hardcover and I was shocked and I was like, what's this? Must be a fluke because I'm stupid. Like, I didn't know at the time, but hey, whatever. All of them, all books 1 through 8 came out in hardcover. So my Father Tree Press, which is Warp Graphics' own publisher, they were self-publishing these books in the 90s. So these hardcovers came out in 1994. And I decided that since my softcover Father Tree Presses were kind of following out, like they were just, you know, they were read a lot and some of the pages started to kind of get loose. So I was very motivated to get them all in hardcover, and it took me a little while, but you know, I was very diligent in checking the stuff on eBay and I was able to get these. So these are the Father Tree Press hardcovers. The coloring is a little bit different. They're much more like, they're very bold, but there's not a whole lot of nuance. It's a little bit flatter, but the books hold up pretty well, the hardcover ones. And these are the ones that I used when I was reading the original quest to my twins. It kept them pretty captivated and they would settle down because I don't know if you know this, but you know, on TV, they make bedtime seem like really calm and like soothing and the kids just like quietly go to sleep. But that doesn't happen in my house. My kids get like amped and start running around like crazy people. So this was like one of the few things that could like get them to settle down and go to sleep. So these are my next set. Yes, I have them in multiple sets because I am bougie and I'm a completist. So these were the Father Tree Press hardcovers. So this was book 1, Fire and Flight. Then the Forbidden Grove, book 2, which is green, just like the Starblaze ones. And then we have Captives of Blue Mountain, book 3. Look at Lita. She's so beautiful. Love it. And book 4, The Quest's End. We got Rayek. He's, he's special. We love him, though. He's so good. So these were the Father Tree Press hardcovers. And then there was another set. The last colored version came out. From DC Comics when Warp was working with DC. These were all recolored by Wendy digitally. And at the time there was on elfquest.com, there was like a forum called like Ask Elf Mom, and she would share all the things that she was working on. And it was a painstaking process to recolor every single page, every single panel, readjusting where the like thought bubbles and the dialogue bubbles are on the comics to just clean things up. And these are the versions, these are the colors that Wendy herself has said these are the colors that she wanted. For a number of reasons in the production, the other versions, they just didn't have the color that she envisioned in her mind. And this is the quintessential coloring. And as Cara had said, to do these new versions that are coming out from Dark Horse Comics, Wendy went through them again just to like, make minor adjustments. But she said that she didn't have to do too much, but she did go through every page just to make sure it was perfect. But this is the color that Wendy had envisioned, and with the new technology and the ability to do the printing, this is the version that she considers to be like the version. So this version is going to be as close to what is going to be in the Dark Horse versions when they come out, these ones from DC. These are really hard to find. I heard an interview when Wendy said, like, if you're going to get a colored version, these are the ones to get. This was several years ago. So again, I went scrambling to try to find them because I wasn't really getting them exactly when they came out. It's hard to get every single thing exactly like immediately because I wasn't just on it like I am now. And whatever, I've dove deeper into my geekdom, and now nothing is going to pass me by without me knowing about it. But I was a little late, but I was able to get all 4, and it was just good. I was very excited. So I got these. So this one is book 1. This is going to be a similar picture for the cover. If you saw in the thumbnail for the video of Cutter and Lita together, but it's got like a new Art Nouveau border for the cover for book 1. And the book 2 from Dark Horse has a different cover. I think it's similar to the Forbidden Grove picture, but I'll have to check that. You can check that on Dark Horse's website and on the announcement. So this is book 2 from the DC archives, and just so vibrant. I love it so much. I was just jazzed to get these. So this is book 3. We have Winnowill. Captive is at Blue Mountain. Cutter is mad. Winnowill is evil. Just great stuff. And last one, book 4. Just amazing. A good size. They hold up really well. The coloring, again, just awesome. Oh, yes. Oh, hey, I got merch. Check it out. Your girl is doing stuff, guys. I can't believe it. Thank you all for sticking with me. This is episode 10, and I'm told that it's hard to get to 10 episodes, and, you know, yay! So thank you for watching and sticking with me, and thank you to the SyFy Sistas for having me and starting this whole journey. I am super grateful. I've been having a great time. If you would like a 2 Moons in a Microphone t-shirt, there is a link in the bio. So please check that out. I would like to thank thy sponsor. I hope you're being safe. And thank you all for coming back and watching these shows and geeking out with me and getting into ElfQuest. I know some of you guys had never heard of it, and I am super appreciative that you have, you know, taken my recommendations and joined the quest and found a new fandom to join, and for us to like cross-pollinate with the Trekkies. I'm just filled with love and like good, clean, blurty fun. So my blurred heart is very full, and I love you guys, and I appreciate all your support. And I'm going to stop gushing. Thank you so much for watching. This has been 2 Moons in a Microphone, a SyFy Sistas Inc. production. We will be back on October 30th. We're going to talk about monsters in ElfQuest because, you know, it's spooky season and it's the day before Halloween. So why not talk about some monsters? There are quite a few, and it's going to be great. So thanks for joining in. Be safe and shade in sweet water, everyone. Good night.